What if being dependable, accommodating, and selfless has come with an invisible emotional cost? Stay tuned for an honest conversation about the cost of being good and why empathy should not require self erasure. Welcome back to the Resilient MD, the podcast and YouTube channel where we have honest conversations about medicine, burnout, resilience, and how to care for others without losing ourselves in the process. I'm Dr. Anna McDowell, certified life coach, allergist, and your host. Today's episode is about something many women physicians quietly carry for years without fully realizing the cost of it: the pressure to be good. A good doctor, a good partner, a good mother, a good colleague, a good daughter, a good friend. And while none of these things are inherently wrong, there's a subtle exhaustion that develops when your identity becomes organized around making sure everyone else is okay, especially when it slowly disconnects you from yourself. Most women are taught very early that being good means being helpful, agreeable, accommodating, emotionally aware of others. And for women physicians, this tendency often becomes amplified because medicine rewards self sacrifice. You're praised for staying late, doing more, being dependable, putting patients first, carrying extra responsibility without complaint. Over time, being good stops feeling like a choice. It becomes an identity. You become the person who handles things smoothly, who doesn't inconvenience others, who adapts, who keeps the peace. And from the outside, this often looks admirable, but internally, it can become exhausting. One of the hidden consequences of chronic people pleasing is this: eventually, you stop knowing what you want. Not because you don't have a preference, but because your attention is being trained outward for so long. You become highly skilled at reading what other people need, what other people expect, what will make other people comfortable. And because you are empathetic, you genuinely care. You don't want to disappoint people. You don't want to create conflict. You don't want others to feel unsupported. So over time, you begin adjusting yourself automatically. You say yes before checking in with yourself. You prioritize other people's comfort over your own honesty. You shape your decisions around what will work best for everyone else. And eventually, a quiet disconnection forms. Not dramatic, just subtle. You realize you've become very good at understanding everyone else while becoming less connected to yourself. There is a specific kind of fatigue that comes from chronic self adjustment. It's not only physical, it's emotional. Because constantly monitoring how others feel, how you're being perceived, whether everyone else is okay, requires enormous mental and emotional energy, especially when it happens automatically. Many high achieving women walk through life asking themselves questions like: will this upset anyone? Am I disappointing someone? How can I make this easier for everyone else? Before they even ask what feels true for me. And when this pattern continues long enough, self-silencing becomes normalized. You stop noticing it because it feels responsible. It feels like it's the right thing to do. But chronic self-silencing is often an early sign of burnout. Because every time you override yourself, a small amount of energy is lost. Now, don't get me wrong, empathy is a beautiful quality. The goal is not to become less caring, less compassionate, or less supportive. The goal here is learning that empathy does not require self erasure. You can care deeply about others without abandoning yourself in the process. You can be thoughtful without over accommodating, kind without chronic self sacrifice, supportive without constantly overriding your own needs. This distinction matters because many women believe the only alternatives are selflessness or selfishness. Come on, people, it's not black and white. There is a healthy middle here, a place where your needs exist in the room too. Before we move on, I want to pause for a moment. I'm curious, have you been feeling exhausted, discouraged, or frustrated and not quite sure why? Are you quietly wondering if this is just how life in medicine has to be? Well, I see you. You don't have to give up on yourself or your dreams. And the good news is that you don't have to figure it all out alone. I built a 6-week one-on-one coaching program designed to help women physicians gently remove the barriers keeping them stuck and rediscover clarity, balance, and purpose. It is called the Resilient MD, just like the podcast and YouTube channel. If you're ready, you can begin today. Schedule your free clarity call. The link is in the show's notes. At first, reconnecting with yourself can feel surprisingly unfamiliar because after years of prioritizing everyone else, simple questions can feel difficult. Questions like, what do I actually want? What feels good to me? What do I need right now? And many women immediately dismiss these questions as indulgent. But they are not indulgent. They are foundational. Because if you are constantly disconnected from your own internal experience, eventually your body begins carrying the burden for you. Resentment, exhaustion, emotional numbness, quiet frustration, chronic depletion. Not because you're weak, but because no human being can continuously abandon themselves without consequence. There comes a point in many women's lives where the question quietly shifts. Not, am I being good enough? But some version of, am I being honest with myself? And those are very different questions because you can spend an entire lifetime being good by external standards while internally feeling disconnected, overextended, and emotionally exhausted. Wholeness asks something different. It asks, can you remain compassionate without disappearing inside everyone else's needs? Can you include yourself in the care you so freely give to others? I bet you can. Sometimes finding your wings begins with something very small. Noticing that you said yes when you meant no. Noticing that you adjusted automatically. Noticing how quickly you dismiss your own preferences. Not to judge yourself, but to begin reconnecting. Because awareness is not only about noticing what no longer fits externally, it's also about noticing where you have slowly stopped existing fully inside your own life. And that recognition can become the beginning of coming home to yourself again. Being caring is not the problem. Being compassionate is not the problem. But constantly placing yourself at the bottom of your own emotional hierarchy comes with a cost. And many women have been paying that cost quietly for years. So today, instead of asking, how can I make everyone else comfortable? Maybe pause and ask, what would it feel like to include myself too? Not instead of others, but alongside them, because your needs matter too. Remember, my wings grow when I listen. If this episode resonated with you, share it with another woman physician or high achiever who may quietly feel the same exhaustion. In next week's episode, we will discuss why many women struggle with decision making. It is fascinating. Be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode of the show. And if today's episode resonated with you, I created something to support you even further. It's called the People Pleasing in Medicine Reflection Guide, a thoughtful resource for women physicians and actually all women who are tired of always putting themselves last. You can grab it through the link below. Can you help me grow this community? Let's do it together. If this episode served you, please take just a moment to leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcast or your favorite platform and like this video on YouTube. It's one of the best ways to help more women hear this message and spread the word about the show. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for your honesty, and thank you for beginning to listen not only to others, but to yourself as well. I'm Dr. Anna McDowell, a resilient MD just like you. I'll see you next week.